I've lost all sense of time. What year is it? Hey guys. I didn't think I was gonna do another video, but there's a couple of things. As we're going through this adjustment period, we're on week 3 now. So there are a couple of things that I wanted to maybe give some advice, tweak a few things, and I figured it would be easier doing it face-to-face than typing. So let's go over a couple of things, watch through my suggestions, and get to the end of the video, because at the end I'm going to be going over a lesson instead of you having to read and just read this week. I wanted to teach you something new, just have a break where I get up in front of the classroom and share some new information with you. So I'm going to be giving some important instructions during that time, so make sure you stick around, watch the whole video, and let's dive in. All right, let me look at my list. First thing I want to go over. Okay. At the beginning, when we first started, I'm noticing we're all still having issues with communication. And part of that is my first suggestion is when you send me an email or a message, a lot of you, that's a stretch, but some of you are having trouble getting to the point. And what I mean by that is you send me an email and the only thing you'll say is, I'm confused, or I'm lost, or I don't know what to do. And the problem with that is that I then waste an email sending back to you, what are you confused about? Instead, if you were to just send me an email being very specific, list your problem, exactly what all you've tried, and then I can immediately come back with, here's the solution. And see, that's 2 emails as opposed to 4 or more, which is sometimes what's happening here. So make sure when you send out a message or an email to me, you are very specific, because you can't get immediate feedback from me. And so it's making it harder for me to give you timely solutions. So make sure you're being very clear and very specific when you contact me so that we can speed things up. Yeah? All right, next thing. Oh, as I was already talking about, email. It's fine that you're sending ManageBack messages, but thank you those who are sending me emails. And the reason is that ManageBack, the way it's set up, for some reason, it takes so many more clicks for me to find your message, first off. Your message somehow gets mixed in with other people's messages sometimes, but also just for me to reply, which is why I requested at the beginning that you email me. So if you're doing that, keep doing that. Awesome job. If you're leaning towards ManageBack messages, it's fine. But if you could, I would prefer you email me. Yeah? Next, turning in assignments. Late is okay. As usual, it's still going to keep up this way. A week's worth of work is going to be due every Monday. However, if you turn in something late, it's not an automatic 0. It just means that I'm not going to get around to grading it quite as quickly as you might like, and it might have some points stocked off. So make sure you turn in stuff on time, but don't panic if you don't, because stuff happens. Internet is hard to come by these days. Live chats. I'm still holding live chats every Monday. I post the code to join 10 minutes before the meeting. The schedule is also posted in a task on ManageBack, so make sure you stop by. Not many of you did last week. We'll see how this week goes. I'm going over answers. I'm just going over answers. So it's kind of a free 100 if you stop by. So I would highly recommend you do that. But again, it's not a penalty if you don't, so you don't have to. Oh, goody. Here goes. So, of feedback. For the stuff that you're turning in, I am going through everybody's document and marking what they missed in their document. So if you go into ManageBack, there's a little speech bubble that you can click on and it'll see your document. And if I've marked through it, that means you got it wrong. A lot of these questions are going to be appearing on your test, so you might want to go back in and look at that. Yeah? All right. Last but not least, let me share my screen for this next bit. Summer is approaching, and even though it feels like the end of the world, we actually have to start planning for next school year. Share my screen. And so while I have you, I want to tell you about summer reading. Yay. You're going to be required to do the same thing. If you're sticking around in Huntsville City Schools, you're going to be required to do a book talk. We've been doing this for the past, I don't know how many years, but just where you like sum up the book, tell people what you thought about it. It's that first assignment that we did when you first got here. It was kind of weird. I don't know. You have to do it again. To find out about that assignment, what you're going to want to do is go to Huntsville State School's website, hover over the academics tab, go to curriculum, and you can click on summer reading 2020. And this is what you're going to pull up, is a document that looks like this. It goes over expectations. Now, your teacher is probably going to have, if you're sticking around Columbia, it might be a little looser than this. I know we do written book talks instead of like talks. So it might not be exactly this, but it's pretty much this. Here's the suggested reading list. So you're going to have to read at least one book over the summer that's fit for a future 10th grader. Wow, most of you are going to be 10th graders next year, hopefully. Here's the suggestions. The 57 bus, I don't know, you can look at these yourself, or it can be something else. If you want a book suggestion, feel free to come to me. I've got some good ones. Oh, The Hate You Give. I still need to read that. I've heard it's good. If you are destined for honors, the very last page is for you. You have required reading. This, you can't do your book talk on this talk, but for future 10th graders, you guys are doing Warriors Don't Cry. That's a pretty good book. Girl gets acid thrown in her face, which is very troubling, but it's very intriguing. That sounded so wrong. Sorry. Go read that if you're honors, or if you want to read that as your spare reading. Anywho, this is here. You start thinking about summer reading. I know it's all of our favorite things to do. That's sarcasm. But that's the last thing I wanted to go over. All right. Congratulations. You've made it through this video. Now for the lesson. You finished the tips. Now I'm going to go over a new concept. Whoa. It's like me teaching you about foreshadowing or foils. I've got a couple new words that I want to go over. So if we're ready, remember, dive in, follow along, and do the assignment, follow instructions. I've got some very specific instructions that I'm going to be able to tell who watched the video and who didn't. So follow the instructions. All right. Let me share my screen again for the PowerPoint. Okay, here's my screen. Shared. Okay. I want to go over with you guys something that you may have heard of, you might not, I'm not sure. If you had heard of it, you might not remember exactly what it means. What I'm going to be going over today is the idea that words can mean the same thing and not mean the same thing. It has to do with these two words called connotation and denotation. Does that sound familiar? Okay, if not, that's what this is for. So it might sound familiar. Maybe this is a review. So before I tell you what connotation means and what denotation means, I want to give you a hypothetical. So guys or girls, your girlfriend is sitting at a table in the lunchroom all by herself, and she's frowning and looking very sad. You come over to her and you say, "Hey, are you okay?" And she says, "I'm fine." Pop quiz. Does she mean that she's actually fine? If you answered yes, I'm sorry, your relationship is not going to last very long. Almost 100% of the time, when someone says, "I'm fine," they don't mean that they're actually fine. That almost never means I'm fine. And the reason has to do with the idea of denotation versus connotation. So here's, oops, let me move myself there. What denotation is the actual definition of a word. So if you were to open up a dictionary, and how I remember denotation, definition. If you were to open up a dictionary and look up fine, literally means I'm okay. That's what fine means. But the connotation is the baggage that goes with that word. So this is my way of saying go away or ask me more questions so that we can fix this. Or let me give you another connotation. The literal definition, as I said, I'm okay, or something is really fine, like sand. But also you might see someone walking by and say, that's so fine. That means something a whole different. It's the connotation changes. So let me give you another example. Let's move off of fine. That's awkward. If I were to ask about a place called Auschwitz, now hopefully you've been paying attention in your history class. The denotation is the literal definition. The literal definition of Auschwitz is it's a city in Poland. I think it's Poland. That's the denotation. However, almost everybody who's ever been in a history class knows that the connotation is it's a really, 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 really sad place where a bunch of people were killed in a concentration camp during World War II. The denotation doesn't mean the same thing as the connotation, but they're the same thing, but not. See what I mean? Let's have a little bit more practice. Let me give you a visual example. Maybe that will help. Oh, no. I forget that one as well. Here it is. Which would you prefer to get written on a note to you? Number one, always be mine with that font, or always be mine in that font. See, the denotation, the definition, they're exactly the same. They're the same words, word for word. But the connotation, meaning this baggage surrounding this, the font, changes. And so I think I'd much rather prefer getting the first example. Here, try this on your own. Which one, home, I've given you the denotation and the connotation. Which is the denotation, one or two? Is it the place where one lives or the place where one's heart lives? If you answered the denotation is number one, you are correct. That's the literal definition. And number two is the connotation. Let's try this next activity. So the reason I'm talking about this is it's very important to choose your words carefully, because while two words or two phrases might mean literally the same thing, denotation, the connotation is going to be different. So I'm going to give you a pair of examples that the denotation is the same, but I want you to tell me which one is worse and you shouldn't use. So first up, if you go up to someone at a funeral and say, I'm so sorry to hear grandpa passed away, versus, I'm so sorry to hear grandma kicked the bucket, which is worse? If you say kick the bucket, you're correct, because you should not go up to someone at a funeral and say, ain't it a shame they kicked the bucket? Because that has such a darker, that's not right. It's just the wrong connotation for that setting. You wouldn't say that at a funeral. Yeah, let's try the next one. Which one's worse? I'm not feeling well, or I feel sick. The worst one, I feel sick, or I feel like vomiting. That's much worse. The nicer way of saying I'm not feeling well has the nicer connotation. I think I have one more. Oops, and I skipped over it. Here it is. For this one, let's say which one is better. She is pretty or she is beautiful? She is beautiful is better. This is why you would call your girlfriend beautiful, but if you're wanting to get extra brownie points, instead of saying, oh, you look so cute, beautiful works better, trust me. With that in mind, let's move on to some practice on your own. You're going to go to Manage Back once you finished. Now that I've gone through this, go to Manage Back, and you're going to download a document that's called Connotation versus Denotation, and it looks like this, yeah? Okay, while you're pulling that up, so go to Files, click on Connotation versus Denotation. Like I said, the reason we're going over this, I just thought of another example of another connotation. Never mind. I don't know where I was going with that. Has your brain become mush over this crazy quarantine? All right, now that have you pulled it up? Okay. Now, because this isn't a Word document, this is very important. Oh, first off, if it doesn't look like this exactly, what I'm going to need you to do is save it to your computer. When you open up a box that looks like this, if you want it to look like mine, right-click the document, hit Open With. It's this like sixth one down. Scroll over and make sure you click on Adobe Acrobat Reader. That's how you're going to make it look like mine. And the reason being is if you've opened it with Adobe Acrobat Reader, you can edit it. That's how you're going to be doing this worksheet. Now, very important, you're going to have to listen carefully to instructions because, hear me, you do not have to do this entire document. You don't have to do this whole thing. So you need to follow along, hear me when I say you don't have to do something, yeah? I'm going to be able to tell who was paying attention, who wasn't, if someone turns in the entire document. So, first off, editing this. This opening top here is just the stuff that I went over. Stuff has neutral, positive, negative connotations, like kind of we practiced. The way to edit, oh, and then there's an owl. So skip the first page unless you were totally lost in what I explained. And I want you to go to the second page. Now, how you're going to edit is over here on the right-hand side are a bunch of tools that you can use. A tool that I recommend, go to one it's a purple pencil. Click on it. It says fill and sign. When you click on it, it's going to ask for you or others, or maybe, then you hit fill and sign for you. And this is going to allow you to write on the document. So let's do this first bit together. And underneath this box, you have 3 columns, positive, neutral, or negative. And underneath, you have a word bank that gives you pairs of words. One's probably positive, one's negative, or vice versa. So let's do the first one together. Gaze versus stare. Now, personally, I'd rather have someone gazing at me than someone staring at me. That implies like, So I'm gonna go up here. I recommend for the first click that you click above the chart, and the reason being, just trust me on this, because just trust me. I'm gonna type stare is the negative one, and I'm gonna move it under the negative. Ta-da! Then you can go from there. I think gaze is positive. It might be neutral, but I think it's positive, so I'm gonna say gaze over here. Imagine someone gazing at you. It's so much nicer. Understand how to do that, so that's how you do it. Then you go through the rest of these and tell me youthful versus immature, which would go in which column. And you do that for all of these, yeah? Now, for this next bit, you're going to be given 2 words, and your job is to tell me which is the negative connotation. So loud or piercing. You would click here. Well, look, it highlights blue for you. You click here and tell me loud or piercing. Here's where it's important that you're paying attention. Ding, ding, ding. You do not have to do this page, page 3. You do not have to do. Skip all of this. Scroll, just keep scrolling. And what I want you to scroll down to is this page, page 4, where it's 3 options, the multiple choice. Yeah? Okay. I'm going to be checking if you were paying attention, because then you're just doing pointless extra work. You have 2 options for here. You can either click, it's going to be asking you, based on the sentence, this is a little bit tricky, which word do you think has the proper connotation based on the sentence? And what you can do, you can either click and type in the word that you think is the correct answer, or you can, I need to move myself again. If you're done, you can go up where it says close up here. Do you see where I'm pointing? Go to close. And that's so that you can get to the highlighting tool. It looks like a highlighter. You click on it and you can highlight the choice. I don't know if C is correct, but I'm just highlighting. Highlight the choice that you think is right. So either type, highlight, or do both. Up to you. I don't care. Do all of the multiple choice. So that's going through number 12. And then you're done. That's all I want you to do for this document. Don't pick 3 words. Don't do anything underneath this. Yeah? All right. So this is your only homework. Let me stop sharing. And I think that is it. Yeah? Okay. Hopefully this was a nice break from, just faceless you reading and answering reading questions. Good luck this week. If you have any questions, email me, and maybe I'll see you for another video. Maybe not, hopefully for a live chat this next Monday. So see you later. Bye.